indebted to the police officers who put their skills into action and their lives on the line every day for our communities.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. My name is Hercules Reed, and I'm one of the many folks who work here at Brooklyn Borough Hall. And we wanted to say thank you for coming out here today and being a part of this recognition of service. Today, we are honoring members of the 67th Precinct and members of the community because, yes, truthfully, it's an ongoing day-to-day occurrence that you guys go above and beyond to protect communities like mine. I actually live in the 67th Precinct, and I see you guys day in and day out doing your jobs and more. And that's what today is about because, unfortunately, there were situations that happened, and we had officers rise to the occasion. There was a gentleman or people who decided that they wanted to throw chemicals and bleach and Molotov cocktails at you all, and instead of you being fearful, you headed straight in towards this dangerous situation to protect not just yourselves, but the community at large. So today, we just want to say thank you. And, understanding that even though we're giving you this today, no words can really truly emulate the sacrifices that you guys make every day for us. So this is just a small token, and with that, I would like to introduce Serana Purcell, who also is an assistant to the Deputy Borough President and Director of External Boards, and also recently our newest honorably elected district leader in Brooklyn.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Can you give yourself a round of applause? Yes. So, we're here today in Brooklyn, at Brooklyn Borough Hall, to honor you. Honoring you is honoring us. We have been in the trenches. You guys, police officers, civilians, you have been in the community putting your life on the line, have a commitment to your badge to protect and to serve. And when you're there, for us doing the right thing, we must commend you. We must appreciate you, and we must value you. So today is a small token of that appreciation. So it's not just today that we want to honor you. We want to make sure that you're out there every day just to remember that you are appreciated, you are valued, and you do serve a purpose in our community. And today is a day where we realize that we are all in this together. We are moving, we had rough times in the past, but we are moving forward in the future with collaborative effort, where community and police work together. So, with that being said, we want to thank you again. And when you get these awards, we want you to carry these awards. These awards is like a token of the appreciation that you deserve, because you go out there, you leave your families to protect and to serve the communities. And for the civilians who are being honored, we recognize you for stepping up, for being a partner with the police. The best days are ahead of us. It's coming. 2022, we have some rough patch, but you have to go through trials and tribulations to get to the other side. So with that being said, I'd like to introduce the Commanding Officer Patrol. Let me just make sure. For Brooklyn Borough South, Chief Michael Kepper, to bring some words of greetings before we get away with our award ceremony. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. She mentioned the awards. I just took a quick peek at the certificates. They're pretty cool. They're nice, and thank you very much. Well, good afternoon, and thank you for everyone for being here. Let me start by recognizing and thanking the Brooklyn Borough President Eric Adams for hosting today's event, and making this event possible. I'd also like to thank the Borough President for his constant support of the men and women of the NYPD, as evident in today's event. I'd also like to recognize and thank the Deputy Borough President, who's with us, Ingrid Martin. And Sarana Purcell, thank you very much for the introduction and for your kind words also. And I'd also like to recognize and introduce the inspector or the commanding officer of the 6-7 precinct. That's Inspector Gabby Saliba. Gabby, thank you. To the members of the NYPD and to all those who are here today being recognized, including civilian members of the community, congratulations. Your actions are certainly worthy of recognition, that's for sure. You should each be proud of what you have done and what you've accomplished, and how your actions contributed to improving public safety. I'm blessed and privileged to be in the position I'm in. Amongst the highlights of my job is to be able to see and hear firsthand the amazing work that the men and women of the NYPD do each and every day. There's a saying, and it goes, no car stop is routine. And nothing could have been further from the truth back on the morning of April 17th, which was a Saturday, in the 6-7 precinct. What seemed like a quote-unquote routine car stop for a routine violation by 6-7 precinct cops suddenly became non-routine. And to be quite frank, it became potentially deadly. And this is when the driver of the vehicle threw a caustic substance or a liquid into the face of an officer and sped off right after the car was stopped. After putting the description of the vehicle over the police radio to alert other cops about what had just transpired, other 6-7 cops located the vehicle in question and attempted to stop the car when the occupant of the vehicle lit an incendiary device and threw it at their occupied police car. This male continued to flee from the police, but he was ultimately apprehended after he crashed his vehicle. Inside his vehicle, officers recovered multiple additional incendiary devices. His intent, self-admittedly, was to hurt cops. Make no mistake about it, the officers' actions that day were brave, smart, heroic, and they no doubt prevented untold destruction, injuries, and potential death to not only themselves, but to other cops and to innocent community members. Outstanding work, and again, congratulations to all here and to all who participated in that event that morning. There's another saying in police work, and it goes as such: public safety is a shared responsibility, meaning the police and community need to work together to create the safest living environment for all. And on the morning of April 17th, again, same day, both these events just happened to occur on the same day. A little eventful, or just, Gabby, is that a routine day? Is this a routine day in the 6-7? But on the morning of April 17th, on Nostrand Avenue, 2 civilian members of the community did their part in adhering to that concept, the concept of what I just mentioned, public safety is a shared responsibility. And I just mentioned two civilian members, maybe 1.5, because one of them is a retired NYPD detective. But either way, both performed heroically, exceptionally, and went above and beyond when they witnessed a 77-year-old female, an elderly female, being forcibly robbed of money she just took out of an ATM machine. Without hesitation, Yvette Light and Lester Primus, where's Yvette? And Lester. Let me paint the picture without reading. They're just hanging out on a Saturday morning, and they happen to come upon a 40-year-old male who, I should say, extensive arrest history, who I should also add is wanted for multiple robberies at the time, unbeknownst to them. When they witnessed the 77-year-old female being robbed of her money that she just took out of the ATM machine, and they didn't stand for it. They got involved, they wrestled this individual down, and they held him until the response of the police. Yvette and Lester did not have to get involved the way they did, but they did so. They did so because they are good neighbors and decent human beings who care about their community. Personally, I thank them, and I want to congratulate them for being recognized today. Congratulations. In closing, I just want to again thank the Borough President Eric Adams and his team for hosting today's event. It's so important that the men and women in the police department realize just how much they're appreciated. So thank you again. I want to also thank everyone for being here. We have some family members that are here to watch their family being recognized and awarded. And obviously, and certainly last but not least, I want to recognize and thank all those who are being recognized today. Trust me when I tell you this, I walk your footsteps. I am your biggest fan. I know exactly what you're up against. Sometimes impossible situations that get critiqued, sometimes fairly, sometimes unfairly. The men and women in the NYPD, particularly the groups right in front of me, are just an outstanding group of people, and it's my honor to not only be in this position, which I opened up with, it's my honor to be here right now. Trust me. Congratulations.
Thank you for those amazing kind words. So we're gonna move the program right along, and it is now my honor and privilege to introduce our next speaker, the commanding officer of the 67th Precinct, Deputy Inspector Gabby Saliba. Let's give him a round of applause. And I would like to highlight that he started actually in the 6-7 in 2021 this year, and since has done such an amazing job for the 6-7 Precinct, and we look forward to the work that you continue to do to keep our community safe and lead these amazing people. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and just want to express my own sentiment of appreciation, Deputy Mayor, for having us here. Obviously, our borough, Deputy Borough President, absolutely, and our Borough President, obviously. So, thank you. You know, the privilege that I have is working with the men and women that you see sitting here each and every day. This incident occurred in April, maybe about 4 months after I got to the 6-7 Precinct, and I'm just getting to know my officers, just getting in the habit of getting to know them. And early morning, I get a phone call letting me know what happened. So I made my way in to the precinct. I actually went straight over to the hospital and met with Officer Waggy that was there. It's such a privilege. And the incident that the chief just described, I'm watching it on body-worn cameras. And even though I know, and I knew what the outcome was, right? I knew my officers, for the most part, was gonna be okay. As I'm watching what was unfolding on body cam, my heart was still going 160 miles an hour. And I was still scared for the officers and still scared for everyone that was involved. And they did such a tremendous and just a heroic job that day. I wish you all could watch the video along with me. And Miss Light and always a detective, right? Absolutely. And I want to thank you. I want to thank you for being an active bystander, right? To not just stand there and watch what happens and pull out your phones, as we see too many times these days, and record what was unfolding, but you took action. And I want to thank you. I want to thank you for that, and the community, the East Flatbush community, want to thank you for that. So again, I want to thank everyone for coming out today, all the families, and obviously Borough Hall for hosting this event and for accepting to recognize these officers for their work that day. Thank you very much.
And while the Borough President is unable to be here today, we do have the Deputy Borough President who is a big supporter in regards to community and police working together. 67 Precinct is actually one of her local precincts, so she's surrounded by very, but 67 Precinct along with the 71st or neighboring precincts and a part of her community where she lives and had raised her family. With that being said, I'd like to introduce the Deputy Borough President, Chaplain Ingrid Lewis Martin.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. It's indeed an honor for me to be here to represent our Democratic nominee for the office of Mayor, Brooklyn Borough President Eric Adams, who could not be here. One of the reasons why this event took us so long to coordinate it is because we were trying hard to get it on his schedule, and he was trying hard to get it on his schedule, but we didn't want to wait any longer and felt it best that I serve in my capacity as the deputy to recognize our heroic officers and our retired detective and civilian for being heroes of the day. I welcome you to our new commanding officer of Brooklyn South, Commanding Officer Kempler. Did I say your name correctly? And I look forward to meeting and to working in partnership with you. Thank you. Thank you. And to the commanding officer, the Deputy Inspector of the 67th Precinct, who I happen to have the honor of working in partnership with not too long ago. Welcome to Brooklyn Borough Hall. The 6-7 is fortunate and blessed to have you at the helm. And we look forward to you doing the wonderful and positive things that you've been doing at the 6-7 Precinct. To our officers, we love our officers, all of you. Today is a very somber and special day for us, as it should be for you and your families. You are heroes, always, but you are especially heroes today. You didn't commit your heroic act today, but today is the day that you are receiving public recognition for what you do every day. We know that when you put on your blue uniform, you go out to work in the morning or in the afternoon or in the evening, depending upon your shift, ready to do good and productive work. We know that when you put on your blue uniform, you go out there to protect and to serve. We know that when you put on your blue uniform, that it is your goal to be of service to your community and to return home safely. I'm noting that press isn't here today. Press was invited. I want you to know that. Press should be here today. Had one of you done something that was deemed as unacceptable by society, press would be here. But when you commit acts of bravery, press isn't here. But we want you to know that we recognize you for all of the good that you as officers in our community do. We respect you greatly and regard you most highly. I have the distinct privilege and honor to work for a retired captain in the New York City Police Department. And I've been married to a retired detective for in excess of 35 years. You're at home. You are with family. We are still in a pandemic. Throughout the pandemic, you all worked heroically and bravely. As far as I'm concerned, every member of NYPD should be recognized for their service during the pandemic, and you weren't. You were mistreated, you were abused, you were spoken down upon. Officers that I knew on a personal level had a Molotov cocktail thrown at them, just as one of our officers from the 67th Precinct had a substance thrown into his or her face. It's unacceptable. But we let you know more people are in support of our police department than are against it. There are a lot of loud voices out there, but we want our voice to be loud and to resonate clearly and distinctively that we love you, we appreciate you, and we thank you for all that you have done as police officers. And we encourage you to continue to work as hard as you have done. To our civilians and our retired police officer, because once a police officer, you are always a police officer. And we see that by the heroic actions done on, I hope I have the date right, April 17th. The training received by NYPD is unparalleled. And our retired officer, along with the civilian comrade, sprung into action. We thank you. So many times civilians will walk away, or they'll watch, they'll take a video, they will not intercede to lend a helping hand. That is not the Brooklyn way. So we thank you as civilians for putting your lives on the line. And we thank you as a retired member of our illustrious NYPD force for springing into action and for remembering all of your valuable training. So again, we thank you. And I want to give a special thank you. You know who I'm talking to now, right? To Officer Pierre. He was dogmatic in ensuring that this event took place. He wanted to make sure. And I thank our Borough Hall team, because once our Borough Hall team found out what this event was, why it was being created, they immediately sprung into action. You see, we have Delilah Simmons. She and her team upstairs, they work under Lori Lewis. They worked extremely hard to ensure that this event was put together properly, along with my executive assistant, the director of community of boards, external boards, Savannah Purcell, and Mr. Hercules Reed. And we have Jonah, who also worked in terms of the press, and his supervisor is here. I just saw him, Stephanie Ringo, and our chief of staff, Ryan Lynch, is also here to support this. And to the family members of NYPD, we thank you for lending your loved ones to us. As a wife of a retired police detective, a father-in-law who's a retired police officer, my brother-in-law is a retired police detective, we know how many nights, how many days we worry. We also know how many nights and how many days we pray, and we ask our Creator to protect our loved ones. So we thank you for sharing your family members with us. So without any further ado, I'm going to ask our newest commanding officer of Brooklyn South and our deputy inspecting commanding officer of the 67th Precinct to please join me as we give out the awards. Savannah, please come forward. Ryan, you want to come up as the chief of staff? Make it a whole family affair. All right, and Hercules? So we're going to start with the award presentation. And I want to thank Joe Frizzell also and David Perez. They're part of our Borough Hall team for making sure that this happened. And we have our little intern in the back, James, doing this thing. Thank you. You want to come help me? I want to make sure I say the names properly. So I'll have, okay, thank you. So the first award will be presented to Police Officer Khalid Alagaheim. So I will read one, all right? I'll read the beginning of one so that everybody will understand what this is all about. But there are 10 of them, so we won't read everything in its entirety, but at least you'll have a general sense of that. Is that okay? All right. So it's from the Office of the President, Borough of Brooklyn, City of New York. It's a citation. It says, whereas it is a Brooklyn tradition to pay tribute to the brave and dedicated officers of the New York City Police Department for protecting our citizens, maintaining the peace, and performing their duties in both favorable and adverse conditions. And the residents of the great borough of Brooklyn are indebted to their police officers who put their skills into action and their lives on the line every day for our communities. It is thusly most fitting that we recognize with gratitude and respect the dedicated men and women who devote their careers to ensuring the safety of our residents. And whereas all of Brooklyn joins the New York City Police Department, NYPD, 67th Precinct, Community Affairs, distinguished guests, community leaders, family, friends, supporters, and the brave men and women who serve our great borough to honor and recognize Police Officer Khalid Al-Gahim for his heroic actions and for the outstanding contributions he has made in our communities. So all of the citations will read as the above, but they will have the individual's officer's name in it. The bottom is where it gets different, and out of respect for the officers, it's gonna take a minute, I will read each bottom portion because it talks about each officer individually. Correct? Correct? All right. So whereas on behalf of all Brooklynites, I salute and commend Police Officer Khalid Al-Gahim from the 67th Precinct serving the East Flatbush and Remsen Village community, who on Saturday, April 17, 2021, observed a vehicle did not stop at the red light, and when Officer Jonathan Wage, 9 years in service, conducted a car stop, the driver threw a substance in his eyes and face that temporarily blinded him. And his fellow officer, Brent Good, so two of them were temporarily blinded, a 10-year veteran, was able to assist, and requested backup as the vehicle fled the scene. I acknowledge responding officers James Govardine, 6 years of service, Officer Muhammad Rahim, 4 years of services, Officer Alessandra, did I say that right, Simmons, 5 years of services, and Officer MD Talugda, thank you, 2 years of service, stopped the vehicle, and the male occupant ignited the device and threw it at the officer's motor patrol vehicle, then fled the scene and was stopped approximately 1 block away by Officer Joseph Rosario, 3 years of service, and Officer Khalid Al-Jahim, 4 years of service, who were able to apprehend the suspect and was taken into custody without further incident, and currently being prosecuted for possession of destructive devices to use against police officers. I applaud the bravery and heroic actions and impeccable teamwork displayed by the 8 officers that led to the apprehension of the suspect without serious injury, which also prevented injury and the death to fellow police officers and civilians. I laud them for their impressive achievements, exemplifying the character, traits of devotion to duty and brotherly love for their fellow officers, with sincerity, purpose, and a genuine concern for well-being of our community. I appreciate them for handling each emergency with uncompromised competence and integrity, and for being the steady voice in a storm with courage and compassion, and providing a meaningful service to the residents of this great borough. I recognize their dedication and unwavering service to the NYPD throughout their years of service, and their tenacity and strong determination to assist those in need, and for being a role model and strong compass for the youth. And I thank them all for what they have done to touch and improve the lives of many, helping to move our communities forward as one Brooklyn. Now, therefore, I, Eric L. Adams, President of the Borough of Brooklyn, do hereby confer this citation to Police Officer Khalid Al-Jahim, in witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the Borough of Brooklyn to be affixed on this 30th day of September 2021. And it's signed by the Borough President. So the bottom tells the story. I thought that the bottom had each biography, but it doesn't. So this citation that I read reads the same for every officer, except their name will be inserted in the appropriate place. So after reading it once, I will then ask each officer to come and to receive his citation. Once we present it to the officer, we'll pose for a picture, and we'll ask you to step over there. Okay? Thank you. So, thank you. Did you want to say something? No. You don't want to say anything? You sure? Thank you. Thank you. So you want to wait right here? So yes. So now we have Police Officer Joseph Rosario. We could do, I know it's not a lot, but we could do better, because this is their day. Would you like to say a few words, Officer Rosario? You're welcome. Oh, I got you. The next one we have is Police Officer, I can't remember.
Just say MD Talugda.
MD Talugda. Thank you. Officer Talugda. Would you like to say a few words? Okay, so let's switch. Oklasandra Simmons. Did I say it properly? Thank you. Thank you. Police Officer Brent Good. Congratulations.
Thank you. No, that's okay.
Police Officer Muhammad Rahman. Police Officer James Govindan. Finally, we have one officer who isn't shy, so maybe we'll get two. We have one more to go, right?
Well, I am shy, but I'll still
That's
say.
okay, please.
I want to thank everybody for being here. I am shy, but I'll still say a word or two. I just want to thank you for the recognition from everybody. And I do want to thank my mom for being here. She's my biggest supporter. And, you know, if it wasn't for her, you know, to make me the person who I am today, so I want to really thank her. And thank you, everybody else, for coming.
And this is the final officer in service for today who will get a presentation, and that's Police Officer Jonathan Wage. Did I pronounce it properly? Wedge? Okay. Would you like to say a few words?
Sure.
Thank you. Please.
The time goes by or two.
From the
Yeah,
heart.
give me a microphone.
I'll
All right, so I just want to thank everybody for having us. It's a lot of very kind words that everybody said before. Deputy Inspector Saliba was great on the day that happened, very comforting. He was there right away. And just everybody really just coming together, everybody from Daytona Midnight Patrol coming together, FDNY EMS, even the community was out there offering me water when the incident happened. So I just want to thank everybody for coming together. It really just was a great thing. So appreciate all the support as well as from my mother and my fiance. Just thanks again.
So this is a little different, so I will read it, so bear with me. Because this talks about our civilian, or I'm not sure, Miss Yvette, are you the retired police officer? Okay, so this is about our civilian. So it says, Office of the Brooklyn Borough President, Borough of the City of New York. It's a citation. It reads, whereas it is a time-honored Brooklyn tradition to recognize those individuals and organizations that demonstrate an outstanding commitment to promoting excellence and providing outstanding services and support to residents and those in need, it is therefore fitting that we join in acknowledgement of their special events and occasion, and whereas all of Brooklyn joins the New York City Police Department 67th Precinct, Community Affairs distinguished guests, community leaders, family, friends, supporters, and the brave men and women who serve our great borough to honor and distinguish, recognize Yvette Light. Please come up, Ms. Light. For her heroic actions and braveries displayed in thwarting a robbery and for the outstanding contribution she has made in protecting a fellow constituent in this great borough of Brooklyn. And whereas all of Brooklynites, I salute and applaud Yvette Light, who intervened with the robbery of a 77-year-old female on April 17, 2021, inside the bank while the victim was removing cash from the ATM machine. I acknowledge the perpetrator grabbed her wrist and stated, "Give it to me," and shoved the victim to the floor and removing the money from her hand. I commend, Yvette Light, who without thinking or hesitation sprang into action and wrestled the perpetrator to the floor with the assistance of a retired NYPD detective, Lester Primus, and held him there until the police arrived. I laud her bravery and heroic actions in the apprehension of the perpetrator. I acknowledge the perpetrator was wanted for similar crimes committed in the past. I applaud and appreciate Yvette Light for demonstrating a deep commitment to making a difference in the lives of others while helping to cultivate a generation of heroes while acting quickly to assist others. I laud her for being a good Samaritan by placing herself in danger while assisting the women. I commend her for showing courage, strength, and perseverance while helping others during their time of distress, and I thank her for all that she has done to touch and improve the lives of many, helping to move our communities forward as one Brooklyn. Now therefore I, Eric L. Adams, President of the Borough of Brooklyn, do hereby confer this citation on Yvette Light. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the Borough of Brooklyn to be affixed this 30th day of September. And it is signed by our Brooklyn Borough President Eric Adams. Ms. Light, we thank you and we commend you. So please come if you want to say a few words. Would you like to say a few words? Thank you. It's the same. Mhm. So this reads the same as our former recipient, Ms. Light. So I'm going to ask our retired detective, Mr. Lester Primus, to please come forward so I can present you with your citation and to thank you for your outstanding work and valor. Thank you. Would you like to say a few words? You should. Because it reads the same as Ms. Light, so you can listen. This concludes the official portion of the program, and I want to thank each and every one of you for coming today to participate so that we can acknowledge our heroes. Before we leave, I'm going to ask all of the police officers to please line up so we can take a group photo. Then I'm going to ask the two civilians to join with us after we take the group photo with the police officers.